Actually, Prabhupada points out, when we have all experienced this in our lives, there are occasions when we hear an inner voice telling us, you shouldn't do this. This is not right. Right? Haven't we experienced that? That's known as the conscience. Right? We all have it. Say, don't you have a conscience? We say it's supposed to be an inner voice. What does Srila Prabhupada say about conscience? There are two interesting quotes. One is from the Bhagavatam purport, another is from a lecture. I'll read that out. Because if there are sinful activities that Yamadutas are making us remember at that time, when we were here in this world, why were we not reminded of that? Someone may ask that question. So Prabhupada is answering. Why does the Supreme Personality of Godhead permit sinful activities? The Supreme Lord does not want any living being to act sinfully, and He begs him through His good conscience to refrain from sin. Prabhupada's statement: the Supreme Lord does not want any living being to act sinfully, and He begs him through His good conscience to refrain from sin. That conscience which is actually telling us, no. It's actually, Prabhupada is saying, it is the begging of the Lord. Don't do that. Don't do that. That actually the conscience is a sense of morality that is built in us. That's, Prabhupada is saying, that the Lord giving an indication. He is begging. Continuing. The Supreme Lord does not want any living being to act sinfully, and He begs him through His good conscience to refrain from sin. But when someone insists upon acting sinfully, the Supreme Lord gives him the sanction to act at his own risk. Mattaha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. No one can do anything without the sanction of the Lord, but He is so kind that when the conditioned soul persists in doing something, the Lord permits the individual soul to act at his own risk. Actually, the Lord reminds us, tries to bring in that good sense in the form of conscience. But what happens is, our desires overpower. Kama istai hrutagyana. When kama is there, desire for sense gratification is there, it comes with a certain force. And at that time, we quieten the conscience and say, no, I want to do this. I want to enjoy in this way. Then the Lord steps back and says, all right, I sanction at your risk, and allows the living entity. This is another statement by Srila Prabhupada. This is in a class in Bhagavad Gita class in Bombay in 1974. That you have got experience. Suppose you are going to do something which is not very good. The conscience is beating. No, you should not do this. You should not do this. But because without the sanction of the Supreme, I cannot do anything. So if we persist to do something, then the sanction is given at your risk. That is going on. God does not give you sanction for doing anything criminal. But if you persist to do something criminal, then God gives sanction. All right, do it at your risk. That is going on.